Hello, beautiful people. Welcome to another episode of Living in Paradise. My name is Iman Walji. I am your host, and let's get into this video. First of all, I want to say if you're watching this on YouTube, I know I look kind of funny with this little shawl that I'm wearing, but I don't really care. It's really cozy, so just allow me, look past it, okay? But today I want to talk about the power of gratitude and how it literally changed my life. And hopefully I can give you guys some perspective in this episode. If you feel like life is just not really going your way, you feel like you're going through the motions and you feel a little bit disconnected, hopefully this episode will make you think about things a little bit differently. I'm going to share the way that I practice gratitude and how it made me feel so alive and so present. And after all, this entire podcast is about living in paradise, cultivating paradise. It's all about living with intention and living with a sense of fulfillment and excitement and being present, and that is all rooted in appreciation. So I'm very, very excited to get into this episode. And if you're watching, then I'm very grateful for you. Okay, so I'm gonna start with a little bit of a disclaimer. First things first, off the bat, gratitude is not meant to be a band-aid solution for your negative experiences. So in the last few years, the term toxic positivity has been making its rounds on the internet. And essentially, it's just the idea that if you're sad about something, and let's say somebody comes up to you and they're like, well, look at everything you have to be grateful for. Don't be sad. People have it worse than you. That's not helpful in those moments, because if anything, it just makes that person feel guilty for having negative emotions. But we're human. We're supposed to have negative emotions. Without the negative, we wouldn't even be able to understand the positive emotion. So I want to put that disclaimer out there, because I do not subscribe to the idea that you should feel guilty for feeling things, okay? If you watched my last episode, you know that I'm all for that. If you're going through something, you have to allow yourself the space to feel. That's a healthy response. So you have to honor your experiences and give yourself the space to respond to them in a healthy way. And sometimes that means experiencing negative emotions. But when you practice gratitude the right way, you will have less of those negative experiences and emotions. It's kind of a way to mitigate that, but it's not a band-aid solution. So I'm just putting that out there because I don't want anyone to think that I am trying to invalidate your experience with this episode, okay? The second disclaimer that I need to put out there is that being grateful for what you have does not necessarily mean that you don't deserve more or that you shouldn't want more, okay? It is perfectly okay and good to want more in your life. Sometimes you have big dreams and big goals and you want to work towards them and achieve all of these amazing things for yourself. Being grateful is not a way to stay stuck where you are. It's just a way to enjoy the journey, to enjoy the process, and to really appreciate the stage of life that you're in, and to just appreciate life itself. You can want more in life, you can work towards your goals, but simultaneously love your life as it is, as you know it. And that kind of brings me to my first point, which is that one day you're gonna look back on this moment and on this season of your life, and this is gonna be the good old days. Do you know what I mean? Look, I'm going to keep it real with you guys. I am nowhere near where I want to be in life. This is not where I want to be. Like, I want more for myself. I want to, live on my own and have my dream job and whatever. All these other things. There's so much that I want for myself, okay? But I'm also aware that one day I'm going to look back on this phase of my life and I'm going to remember that time when I was 24 years old, living with my mom, and all of the friends that I have right now in my life and the people that I'm hanging out with and the experiences that I'm having. Like, this is gonna be the good old days. I'm gonna look back on this and be like, remember that time when I was doing this and that, when I was at home and whatever. And so it's kind of like when you have that awareness that nothing lasts forever, it kind of gives you this newfound appreciation for where you're at right now. And it doesn't mean that I'm like, okay, let me just throw in the towel on all of my goals and dreams and just stay here forever. I think some people like to hide behind that because then they're kind of scared of change. But that's not what I'm saying. It's just appreciating the stage that you're in. I feel like I've already said that a million times. In the same vein, you can also think back to a previous version of yourself and say, what would the young version of me think? There is a previous version of you that is so proud right now and that is like, oh my God, look at all that you've achieved. You're such a cool person. Like, I think back to like young Iman and I'm like, yo, I think she would think that I'm pretty cool. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I really do think that. And I think she would be kind of happy with like how far I've come in life. So that's another way to bring yourself back to the present moment. But yeah, personally, when I think to myself, like, yo, I'm not gonna get this moment back. Like, one day I'm gonna be reflecting on this. This is gonna be a memory and it's gonna be a good one. It immediately brings me back. It makes me like, it brings me back to earth. Like, it makes me so present with what I'm doing. If I'm hanging out with people, I feel like I'm so present. I'm not just going through the motions. I'm not just on autopilot. Like, I really am enjoying the interaction that I'm having or the experience that I'm having in that moment, you know? And it doesn't have to just be like hanging out, like anything, even something as simple as my mom's cooking. Like, I don't take that for granted. I literally tell myself that I'm so grateful for that because Lord knows when I move out, it's going to be a lot of HelloFresh meals, okay? And so now when I'm eating, I'm like genuinely enjoying her food with my whole heart because I'm not going to get this every single day at some point, all right? I guess like it's just a nice reminder to have. And if I'm feeling disconnected, it brings me back. Another thing is that I noticed this. I'm going to call you guys out a little bit, okay? But I do notice that a lot of people are like, when they're mad or when they're going, like experiencing some kind of inconvenience in their life, there's a lot of, oh, I know I should be grateful for this, but blah, blah, blah. This is just making me really mad. And first of all, I want to just say, forget about what you should be grateful for, okay? Forget about all of that. If you're mad or sad, like, experience it. Like I said, feel your emotions. But I do feel like people tend to dwell past the point of just feeling things. I do feel like people tend to hold on to their pain and focus on the negative experiences. And don't get me wrong, I was one of those people at some point in my life. But you need to realize that there is a huge, huge difference between simply knowing what you should be grateful for and having this like intellectual awareness that like, oh yeah, I'm grateful for these things, and genuinely feeling like deep in your heart, deep in your bones, a sense of fulfillment and appreciation and love and excitement for the place of life that you're in and just for life itself. That feeling, especially when you're going through like things that might not be favorable to you, when you have that feeling in your heart, it's unmatched. It's unmatched. It's like you just appreciate life, and it's just like the best. It's literally the best feeling in the world. That's what keeps me going, like through the trials and tribulations, that feeling of like, I'm still here living and breathing, and that feeling of recognizing all of the amazing opportunities that I have and that I'm surrounded with. That feeling in itself is just like, it keeps me going, I'm telling you. For those of you watching and thinking to yourself like, okay, great, like good for you, but how do I force a feeling? Like I wish I could feel that way, but I can't force it. That's a valid point. To that, I will say that it is a practice. It's just like going to the gym, for example, or meditating. It's not something that like, it's not like you're gonna write a list of things you're grateful for and then like overnight your life is gonna change and everything's gonna be beautiful and amazing. No, it's a practice. It's something that you have to practice every single day. And I'm gonna get into more details on how I did this and how I do this in my life. But before I get into that, I wanted to mention that this is a really ideal thing to practice in the morning. It should be part of your morning routine. When you wake up and focus on the amazing, beautiful things about life, it will literally set the tone for your day and you will have less negative experiences throughout the day. I am speaking from experience, less things are going to piss you off, okay? So imagine like when you wake up, you're just neutral, right? You're not necessarily happy or sad. You're just neutral. You just open your eyes and wake up. And then whatever it is that happens throughout your day, it affects your mood. Things are going to happen throughout the day, and that's going to shape your emotions and your mood. But when you practice gratitude in the morning, you're basically taking that control back and you're shaping the trajectory of your day. Have you ever noticed that sometimes like when something bad happens, it's like bad things keep happening? Like, oh, I'm running late. Now I spilled coffee. Now I did this and now my phone died and now blah, blah, blah. Like it's like a snowball effect. And kind of the same thing happens when you're in a good mood and when good things are happening. It's like one after the other. It's just a good day. I truly think that it's just where your focus is and the energy that you're putting out. So if you're putting out like a positive energy and you're feeling positive, you're gonna notice all of the positive things that are happening in your life. But if you're putting out a negative energy, you're gonna notice all the negative things. That's why starting your day with a sense of gratitude and appreciation and excitement for the day, it's literally a game changer because you're gonna start with like a surplus of positive emotions. And so things are just going to piss you off less and less, okay? It's just something that I've noticed when I started practicing gratitude. I just was like less bothered by things in a really, really good way. I was in control of how my day was gonna go. And yeah, there still are gonna be things that are gonna happen that are gonna be shitty and they're gonna make you feel shitty. And that's okay. Like I said a million times, feel the things. But you have the option to wake up and start your day on a positive note rather than neutral, you know? To the point of people who use gratitude as a way to stay comfortable in their life. Like, oh, I have everything I need and I'm grateful for this and I'm grateful for that. I don't need to grow. I don't want to grow. Like, they probably don't say those things, but it's stunting their growth. Comfort is important, but if it's stunting your growth, then maybe you can use gratitude as a way to push yourself. So for example, I sometimes think about my mom when she was my age, and I think about my grandma when she was my age. And I think the opportunities that they were presented with, considering the time that they were born, like the period of time that they were born in, and the fact that they were women and in our culture, like they didn't have the same opportunities that I have. And that in itself, I'm grateful for. I'm like, I am so grateful that I was born at this time, that I was born in Canada, and that I have all these privileges that my mom and my grandma never, ever had. And so that in itself pushes me to do things that make me happy. Like starting this podcast, for example, I was like, yo, my grandma in her wildest dreams would not have even imagined this because this technology did not even exist back then. My mom, maybe she could have started a podcast at some point in her life, but like that wasn't the thing taking up her mind. She had to take care of me and immigrate to a new country and do other things. So it's like the fact that I have this opportunity, I have the luxury of starting a podcast because I simply feel like it. I'm not going to fumble that bag. And that's anything in life. Like whatever it is you want to do, you have these opportunities just like lingering around. And when you think about the people in your lineage, think about your ancestors, your parents, and the fact that they didn't have those opportunities, it might push you to take them and to realize like, hey, look, like I'm so grateful for this. Let me actually do something about it. You know what I mean? Okay, so let's talk about like how you can actually practice gratitude, because I think most people, from what I understand, like will write a list of things they're grateful for. I think that's a good thing to do, of course, but I don't feel like that's super effective. I say that as someone who has been doing that for years. For years, I had a list. I used to have a gratitude list, and every morning I would try to just like read off that list and be like, oh, I'm grateful for this, 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 and this. But back then I wasn't really feeling it. I was just reading a list of things that I know I should be grateful for. Like I said, it was just an awareness of like, yeah, like these are good things in my life. Cool. But I wasn't like actually feeling it. So what I started doing was speaking it out loud. So I don't even have a list. Like I don't write it down anymore. I literally started waking up in the morning and being like, today I am grateful for XYZ. Like I would just say it. I want to emphasize the fact that I said the word today, because that I feel like it kept it fresh. It wasn't the same thing every single day. Yes, there are certain things that I'm grateful for every day, like across the board, like clean water, good food, access to education, things like that, like living in the first world, like in a first world country and the privilege that comes with that. Those things are like, I'm going to be grateful for until I die. But then I started thinking more specifically and more individually in my life about the positive things that were going on in my life. And every day it was something different. So I would say, today I am grateful that, for example, last night I hung out with this friend and we had this amazing conversation. Or today I'm grateful that I'm meeting up with this person. Or today I'm grateful for that it's a sunny day. Whatever was happening that day, whatever was relevant in my life is what I would focus on. And this was just off the top of my head. I didn't write any list. I just woke up and I would just say this out loud, okay? I didn't have like a quota of like, oh, let me just think of 3 things or let me just think of 10 things. Sometimes it was the same thing because maybe there was just a positive influence in my life for multiple days. But as the days went on and as the weeks went on, like these things would change. And different people became relevant in my life and different things became relevant in my life. So I had different things to be grateful for. And I think that was really helpful because you want to remember why your day right now is amazing and what is making it amazing right now. It helps you be more present in this moment. Also, I would say these things with full conviction, okay? It wasn't just like, today I'm grateful for my mom's cooking. Today I'm grateful for like that it's a sunny day and today I'm great. No, it was like, I was smiling, I was excited, and I was like, today I am grateful for XYZ. And listen, I probably sounded like a church preacher or something like that because I was literally like yelling out how blessed I felt. But it doesn't matter. Like, that's what made me feel good. It was like invigorating, and who cares? Like, no one could hear me anyway. Maybe my mom could hear me, but like, whatever. Like, just even if you feel silly, that is so, when you say things out loud with conviction, I promise it is way more effective than like writing a little list. Writing a list is still helpful, by the way. I'm not trying to say don't do that. I'm just saying like go off, you know? Nobody's watching you. And get excited. Allow yourself to like smile and be happy and be like, "Oh my God, I'm so grateful for this." Okay, another good one is I actually got inspired to start intentionally practicing gratitude like this when I was doing guided meditations. So I'm going to put a link in the description. There was this one channel on YouTube. It's called Great Meditation. And that was how I actually started to practice meditating. And so I do recommend that channel because they have amazing, amazing guided meditations if you're into that and if you want to get into the practice of it. But they had one specific one. It was like a really quick, like 5-minute morning meditation. And it was heavily focused on gratitude and how beautiful life is. And that used to make me feel so good in the morning. Like I would just listen to that, start my day like that. And then I would get into my like church preacher mode and be like, I'm blessed, I'm grateful, like life is beautiful. So I'll link that meditation in the description. You guys should definitely check it out. So yeah, I really recommend being more intentional with the way that you practice gratitude, being a little silly with it, whatever, who cares? Life is too short. Like life is gonna be gone one day and you're gonna wanna remember all the beautiful things about it because it really is beautiful. When you start to change the way you look at things, the things you look at change, okay? I really love that quote because it's so true. When you become more intentional with these practices, you really start to see the beauty in this world and in your life, and you don't take anything for granted anymore. And it's just such an amazing way to live. Okay, so I will say that I don't even do this anymore, by the way. Like the whole like waking up and saying all this stuff about like today, whatever, that was something that I did for a couple months, like every single day. But now I've gotten to a point where I don't even need to do that the feeling just exists within me. It made no difference. I still felt really excited. I felt really grateful. I felt really fulfilled. And I was approaching everything in life with a sense of appreciation. I didn't have to do this whole big thing in the morning. But that's how I started, right? And when I first started practicing gratitude like that, I would notice a difference. Like I would wake up and if I didn't do that, my day was drastically different. Like I said, it's a practice. It's not just like an overnight oats quick fix type of thing. You got to do it every day until one day you don't even need to do this whole thing. You just maybe might need one reminder here, one reminder there. It's going to feel like second nature to you. So now what I do is I try to I have like little reminders throughout my day. So I got into the habit of expressing thankfulness when I wake up. So first thing in the morning, as soon as I open my eyes, I would wake up and just say like, thank you. I'm here. I'm living. I'm breathing. I'm here to see another day. It's going to be a great day. And because I got into the habit of doing that, now it's just like a natural thing. Like I wake up and I don't have to even say it. It's actually the first thought that comes into my head. Like naturally, like the first thought in my head is just thank you. And you can express that to whatever you believe in, whatever, if you believe in a higher power, believe in God, the universe, your angels, even if you don't believe in anything, you're still here. You still woke up to see another day and you can just be happy about it, right? That reminds me of something else. Quick little story time. When I was, I think, 10 years old, I went to go visit my grandma in Tanzania. And my grandma, she was a very religious person, okay? So when I was staying with her for the summer, she used to, like, before every single meal, say grace. And then after every single meal, basically say thank you, like in the name of God. So I got into the practice of doing that when I was a kid. I wasn't super religious myself, but it was just a practice because I was staying with my grandma. And then when I came back here and school started again, I think I was like in grade 7, I literally remember being in the cafeteria and being like, it felt like muscle memory. Like I couldn't eat my food without like quickly saying grace in my head, and I couldn't like end my meal without expressing like a sense of thankfulness. It was like an OCD, like it just felt like I had to do it, otherwise it just wasn't complete. And so that was something that I did in school, and it was like really low key, obviously. I remember one time though, there was this really religious Christian girl who was like, oh, I'm gonna just say my grace, and there was a part of me that felt so relieved by that. I was like, oh my god, me too, sis. So I just like said something quickly in my head. Anyways, whatever. The point of me saying this is that even as a kid, like that wasn't something that I was doing on purpose, or like I didn't really understand the gravity or the meaning behind any of that. It was literally just like muscle memory. Like I just felt like, okay, it feels wrong if I don't do it. And eventually, like as I grew up, obviously I lost that. Like I grew up, went to high school, whatever. I wasn't gonna like sit in the caf and like freaking say grace. But I noticed something, which is that for years after that summer, for years to come and throughout my adult life, there have been moments where I've still said thank you after my meal, the way that my grandma used to say it. And it's not something that's like I do with intention. Like it just happens. It's literally muscle memory, and it'll just pop out randomly. It's not like I do this every time. It'll just pop out randomly. And usually it's after a good, like hefty meal. If I eat like a good meal, something in me will just say thank you, and it's not even like on purpose. And the point of me telling you this is that that's why you have to practice it every day, because eventually it will become your second nature. And so when I noticed that I was doing that, like that this little, like I guess you could call it a prayer, or this little thing I would say after my meal, now I've started to become more intentional with it. So now I actually do it every single time I eat food, because it just makes me feel good. It's just my way of remembering like, hey, life is good. I'm eating good, you know? And it's the same way of like when I wake up in the morning and the first thing I think is thank you. It's the same thing. It's just a little reminder like, hey, I'm here, I'm living, I'm breathing, life is good. Okay, another thing is that when you're going through a particularly hard time, it does definitely help to see the positive sides of whatever it is you're going through. So I'm not saying to pretend like the negative doesn't exist. I'm not saying to be delusional or to act like everything's okay when it's not. I'm saying look at your life exactly for what it is. There's going to be really amazing things and there's going to be really shitty things, okay? And whatever you put your energy towards is what's going to grow. My favorite quote ever, where focus goes, energy flows. Tony Robbins said that, and I love that quote because it is so true. The negative things exist and the positive things exist. Do not waste your breath on the shitty things, okay? Use that breath and that energy towards the positive, amazing, beautiful things, because that is then what is going to grow in your life. That's what you're going to see more of. sometimes when I'm going through something that's really difficult, I try my best to shift my perspective a little bit because it's all about perspective. So, for example, when I was going through my breakup, and you guys know, breakups are freaking hard, okay? Like, anyone who's been through a breakup, you know that feeling. It's literally like the world's worst feeling ever. It just feels so scary and weird and sad. It's just another level of sadness. But one day, and this was like pretty soon after, I was still sad, but one day I remember I wrote a list in my phone of like the pros of being single, because my whole life I've been in relationships. And so I wrote the pros of being single because I wanted to remind myself of all of the beautiful, amazing, really cool things that I'm going to be able to experience now from the perspective of a single person, which I had never done before, right? And the point of me saying that is like, it didn't make me like forget about the bad things. I was just trying to focus my energy on the good things. And that list still comes in handy because now I've been single for quite some time and I'm in a place where like I'm healed and I emotionally could be in another relationship if I wanted to. It hasn't happened yet, and it's very easy for me to catch myself in moments where I'm like, oh, I wish I had a boyfriend, blah, blah, blah. I mean, everybody wants that. Everyone wants love in their life. But then I recently saw this TikTok or this reel that was like, if you're single, enjoy it, because the next time that you get cuffed, for all you know, that could be for a very long time or forever. And I'm not trying to put like any sort of pressure on my like next relationship. I'm just saying, like, who knows? What if the next person that I end up with is literally the person that I end up with forever? Then I'm never going to be single again. This might be the only time that I'm ever single. And so when I when I shift my perspective and think about it that way, I remind myself like, yo, just enjoy it. Like, just enjoy it, you know? Like, stop wishing for something that isn't happening right now or that doesn't exist yet. Like, it's okay, because when that happens, you're not going to get this back. So it's all about perspective, okay? Another big one for me was, moving to the suburbs. Oh my God, that was a big one. When I moved from the city back here, yes, I could have spent my time and energy talking shit and saying, I hate it here, like, I hate the suburbs, like, everything's so far away, like, blah, 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 whatever. Instead of doing all of that, I started to look at the things that I actually liked about being here. I wasn't pretending. I wasn't being delusional. I wasn't like, oh my God, I love it here. Everything's fine. Everything's great. No, I was just seeing the negative, seeing the positive, and choosing to put my attention and focus on the positive. So I was like, first of all, I'm saving money. I really love that I'm doing that. Secondly, I love how wholesome it feels over here. And I love that it feels like a little bit more of a community and that people are so close, like literally in proximity. Everything about the vibe here is so different than the city. And even like there's children playing on the street. Like, there's no kids playing on the street in the city. Like, that's not safe. Or one of my friends came over the other day and we went on a late night walk to the park in my neighborhood. And that's not something I would do downtown. And so it's just like, I value the safety that I have here. It just feels very wholesome and fulfilling. And the more I started to lean into that, the more I actually really started to enjoy the suburbs. I was like, whoa, like, this is kind of nice. It's slowed down, you know? In the city, I felt overstimulated. There were so many options all the time. Sometimes it makes you feel like decision paralysis. Over here, I have more time with my thoughts and I have more peace of mind, and it's kind of nice. Not to say that I like hate the city now. It's just choosing to focus on the good things about my environment. Another really big one was the weather. Oh my God. I think it was probably in high school when I started to notice that the winter would really, really impact me, like in a really negative way. Every winter, I would feel really sad, and it was super valid because the sun sets really early. For those of you who live here, you know how the vibes are. The sun sets really early. It's really cold. I think a lot of people generally are sad, so the energy is like pretty low. And it's not, honestly, like, it's not always a good time in the winter. It can be quite depressing, especially during COVID. It was so like not fun for me. I'm sorry, I was filming and my camera got cut off, so sorry if the editing is a little bit choppy here, but pretty much all I was trying to say is that for as long as I can, at least since high school, I have been feeling very down about the winter, and I would spend a lot of energy complaining and sitting in my feelings. But this last winter that just passed, I just want to say that I got through it very successfully because I started to focus, like really focus, and find so much enjoyment in the beauty of the season that we were in. So, for example, turning on the fireplace and putting on a cute little movie and having my hot chocolate, moments like that, I really, really, really did enjoy. Or going skating, that's fun. Going to the mall, I'm not going to sit here and list all the amazing things about winter. Mostly they have to do with Christmas. I really love Christmas. I'm a very festive person. So it was like I would put a lot of my energy and my excitement into those things that made me happy, like and looking at the Christmas displays at the Hudson's Bay. I love doing that. It's such a simple thing, but it's one of those little joys in life. And it's really good to have that in the midst of such a dark time. Like, I feel like the winter is really dark, but I don't want to spend all of those months just like hoping for a summer or counting the days down. I want to enjoy as much as I can, and I want to find joy in as much as I can. And so when I started doing that, I got through the winter and it was beautiful. I was so cozy and festive, and I also have a sunlight lamp, so I started using that properly and, you know, getting my vitamin D like that, or like vitamin D supplements, that kind of thing, whatever. But there are things you can do to find joy in your heart, even during times that are not so joyful. You can keep your heart warm, even when it's really, really cold out, because it's not worth sitting around and being sad and complaining all the time. It's not worth it. Eventually, your life is going to be done, and you want to remember all those beautiful little moments. So I got through the winter, and I was doing really great. Well, so usually for me, the worst time of year for me is like January, February, because at that point, the festivities are over and I feel like winter is just dragging out. But this year was a bit different because I was really focused on my goals, and there was a sense of excitement and renewed energy with the new year. I was like, okay, it's a new year. Like, it's a clean slate. I'm excited to take on this year. And it's like the first few months of the year, and that's your time to really feel refreshed and rejuvenated and ready to bounce back. And so I was really focused on that energy, and I was focused on my goals, and it helped me get through that time of year that I usually like really struggle with. It's glass half full type of thing. The negative things, they still exist. You're still allowed to feel sad. You're still allowed to feel mad. But just remember, where focus goes, energy flows. So don't dwell too long. Think about the gorgeous, amazing, beautiful things. Be happy that you're here. You're here to see another day. There's a version of you that is so proud of where you are today. There's another future version of you that's going to look back at where you are today and be like, damn, those were the days. And don't forget that. Be present, be intentional, enjoy your life. You know what I mean? It's too short not to enjoy it. So I hope that I helped you gain some perspective in this episode, and I would love to hear your thoughts if you guys practice gratitude in different ways or what works for you. I would love to hear what you have to say. So leave a comment or even like send me a message. I love talking about this kind of stuff, and let me know what you think. Yeah, that's all for today. I will see you next time in paradise. Bye.